smoking. If you live or work in Orange County, a proposed new ban could change your habits.
And this man has more reasons than most to be donating blood. We have his dramatic story.
I'm Victoria Cook. Some fraternities are under the microscope these days. The issue? Hazing. I have the story.
Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Hazing, it happens, maybe more than you think. At least one hazing-related death on a college campus has been reported each year since 1970. Good evening, I'm Avery Harper.
And I'm Alex Giles. North Carolina is one of 44 states where hazing is not only frowned upon, it's against the law. Victoria Cook reports on recent hazing investigations here at Carolina.
Well, Alex, the Interfraternity Council Judiciary Board has just released 3 reports on charges of hazing, and more may be coming.
10. That's the number of fraternity hazing allegations like this one reported at UNC so far this year. And here, inside the Office of Greek Fraternity and Sorority Life and Community Involvement, Director Aaron Bockenheimer says that's a significant number.
Number of allegations and the investigations that the IFC engaged in at one given time was what I would call a significant number to be taking place at one given time.
The IFC is the student-run interfraternity council in charge of investigating these reports. And just last week, the IFC's Judiciary Board released its reports in 3 of the hazing cases. 2 of the fraternities involved, Phi Delta Theta and Alpha Tau Omega, were found guilty of violating the university's hazing policies. The 3rd fraternity, Kappa Alpha, was found guilty of violating the university's alcohol policy. The punishments were either social probation, which means no tailgates, no cocktails, no alumni events, or any other social events for a specific amount of time. Or deferred probation, which means they can't have another violation in a given period of time. So what exactly is hazing? The simple definition involves 3 parts. Any action connected to either a membership or joining process, causing emotional, physical, or psychological harm, and the pledge's willingness to participate, meaning you can't volunteer for hazing.
Hazing is hazing is hazing. It's wrong, it's counterproductive, it's dangerous.
Both of the fraternities found guilty of hazing in these reports may not have seen any harm in what they were doing. One involved brothers giving their pledges a buzz cut, and the other involved brothers making their pledges pick up spaghetti after the brothers threw it on them. But those small incidents could just be the match lighting the fire.
If we do have people throwing spaghetti on pledges or what have you, then it opens the door for them to yell at pledges, which opens the door for them to, physically harm pledges. And so it's just it's a slippery slope, and we're trying to nip it in the bud.
The Judiciary Board releases the other 7 verdicts in the coming weeks.
It's important to note, just because the number of hazing reports has increased, that doesn't mean there's more hazing. Officials are saying it could be due to better reporting procedures.
It hasn't even been a month since UNC Chancellor Holden Thorpe announced his resignation, but the search has already begun for a new chancellor. Members of the committee represent the Board of Trustees, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and the community. Meeting this week by addressing the special committee. He said the goal will be to propose 3 possible candidates for chancellor. Ross will then select one final candidate for UNC Board of Governors approval. He told us what qualities he'll be looking for in the candidates.
Lots of different competencies and qualities, and you need to be a strong fundraiser, you need to be a good people person, you need to be able to relate to all the constituency groups that are out there, and so you got to have some political savvy. All those things are very important.
In one final note, the committee has agreed to hire a search firm to help in the selection process. The December commencement speaker has been chosen. Myron Cohen, an Associate Vice Chancellor of Global Health, will give the commencement speech.
Smokers, listen up. If a new ordinance passes, you might not be able to light up on your walk to work or on your smoke break anymore. Reporter Jordan Powell has the story.
The ban would prohibit smoking on public property. The idea is getting mixed reviews.
I support the ban because I think that walking down the street, puffing on a cigarette and blowing it in others' faces is pretty similar to chewing sunflower seeds and spitting those in people's faces. It's rude and easily avoided.
Designated smoking areas would be nice. If they totally disregard that, then I'm totally going to disobey their rule to not smoke.
The ban would cover all public property, including bus stops and sidewalks. Officials warn against making exceptions to this rule.
From a public health standpoint, when you look at policies that have worked very effectively, such as this, such as our smoke-free restaurants and bars law, you try not to have too many exceptions on those rules because that can cause problems later.
One such exception, however, would be the university. The flagpole on UNC's campus is a popular spot for smokers. According to a 2008 policy, smoking is forbidden within 100 feet of any university building. The flagpole is conveniently located at such a distance from all of the surrounding buildings. These patriotic smokers won't have to worry about the county ban, though, because the university is exempt from its policies. That means that the university's existing 100-foot policy will remain in effect. The County Board of Health is seeking public input before members vote later this month. Reporting from Chapel Hill, I'm Jordan Powell.
If approved, it will be up to the County Board of Commissioners to make the final decision. That vote will be early next month. The ban could go into effect by next summer.
Chapel Hill residents may think they're at the mercy of towing companies again. An appeals court is rejecting the town's proposal to temporarily enforce the new ordinance. The ordinance, which aimed to cap the amount towing companies can charge for impounded vehicles, was struck down in August. It was ruled unconstitutional. A final decision could come in the next year. More transit news to bring to you. A proposed new tax could produce changes in public transportation if passed in the November vote. Students had a chance to learn more about the Orange County Transit referendum in a public forum. Panel members say the main goals behind the half-cent sales tax are increased local and regional bus services, an Amtrak station in Hillsborough, and a light rail system between UNC and Durham. Revenue from the tax could only be used for transit purposes.
With more than 300 classrooms on UNC's campus, you wouldn't think we'd have a problem with space, right? But based on the looks of this nearly empty classroom and others like this administration thinks we may. In the last 25 years, undergraduate enrollment has increased by 18%. The result? A higher need for larger classrooms like this, and smaller classrooms like this one aren't being used as often. Buildings such as Hamilton and Howe Hall are just a few places where classroom use has declined. Administrators hope to improve scheduling and classroom technology to correct the problem. Won't that require more professors? It could.
The November election is less than a month away, and you have only until Friday to register to vote. There will be people outside the UL registering voters for the rest of the week. Early voting will start next week around October 18th. You can vote in Rams Head Dining Hall.
Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. Every 2 seconds. And donations don't keep up with that demand. Reporter Brianna Harper talks with one UNC professor who understands the issue all too well.
Computer science professor Michael Reitner knows a lot about technology, but until last October, he knew very little about blood.
It never occurred to me to take, prioritize that, and so I had never donated before all this.
One visit to the doctor changed all that. A heart aneurysm, a surprising diagnosis for a lot of reasons.
Well, I thought I was in great shape. I was doing martial arts, I was lifting weights, very active, and it was quite a surprise.
Luckily, blood plasma saved Reitner's life, one of the products of donated blood. American Red Cross representative Caroline Allison explains.
Every time you donate blood, you could actually be touching up to 3 lives. And that's a really incredible thing to do.
Nationwide, more than 17,000 blood donations are needed daily. That's right, daily. And supplying that need is the goal each time the American Red Cross organizes a blood drive like this one.
So we're constantly just trying to keep up with how to communicate, trying to reach out to different groups who might not normally think that they could be involved in a blood drive.
Multiple blood drives are held on UNC's campus throughout each school year. And unlike in the past, expect to see Reitner this year ready to donate blood along with many others.
But I would just encourage people to think about the good that it can do for, people like me, and, try to get over the fear of that needle.
Michael Reitner, from detached bystander to grateful recipient and now helpful donor. In Chapel Hill, I'm Brianna Harper.
Up next, we have 2 reports on exercise. First, the lack of it is becoming a global issue.
And if you're a woman, there's new information that says exercising could save your life. That's coming up next.
Connect with us online by liking the Carolina Week Facebook page and
following us on Twitter at Carolina Week UNC.
Those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Brush, 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 brush. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. You can have your toothbrush so that they can brushy brush your teeth. Good job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy brush with a grown-up every day.
Well, it looks like the rest of the world is becoming more like the United States. At least that may be the conclusion from a recent study conducted by researchers at UNC's School of Public Health.
It says worldwide physical activity is on the decline, which may mean an increase in associated health problems.
Dr. Shu-Win Ng goes out of her way to stay physically active by using an exercise ball in her own office. She's an assistant professor and researcher of nutrition at UNC's Gillings School of Public Health. But she's finding most people, even people throughout the world, don't stay physically active.
There's something really needs to be done, either from a sort of public health perspective to encourage people to be more active, or from a personal level when people read this and realize, oh, I really, there are things I could do.
Ng and her fellow researchers measured physical activity levels in China, India, Brazil, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The study found that children and adults in each of these countries are increasingly spending more time in front of televisions and in other sedentary activities like playing computer games, using computers, and texting on cell phones. Ng says this decline has a lot to do with the rise of technology. A UNC senior from Senegal, Mustafa Kassé, agrees.
Yeah, my cousin, he used to live like 5-10 miles from the car. It's outside the city, so to go to school, since they didn't have the bus back then in 1999, he had to walk all the way to school. He had to wake up at 5 and walk for 3 hours, But now, as I was saying, with the better transportation, he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Dr. Ng says even home technologies like computers, microwaves, and dishwashers result in declining physical activity.
Those things are there. We're not going to change that. We're not going to suddenly take away computers. But given that I am going to be spending 10 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours a day in front of a computer, what else can I do so that I can still be active?
We can start by changing our office habits like Dr. Ng.
And Dr. Ng's study notes that physical activity levels have significant implications for healthcare costs and the overall well-being of societies around the world.
Every year, more than 40,000 women die of breast cancer. There may not be a cure yet, but there is something women can do to prevent breast cancer. Sefe Amakpai tells us more.
Fresh Akwane works out 3 to 4 times a week. What she didn't know is that this may help her later on. A UNC study concludes that women who work out have a reduced chance of breast cancer.
If there is a study that says exercise can definitely decrease the chances of breast cancer, I would definitely take that to heart and really try to keep up with my working out.
Researchers say the effects of exercise could be negated if women gained a lot of weight. Lead investigator of the study, Lauren McCulloch, says this.
Women who are physically active during the reproductive period, and we define that as being from the time they had their first child to the time they hit menopause, as well as during the postmenopausal years, had about a 30% risk reduction of breast cancer.
The study used more than 1,500 patients from a hospital like this one, as well as 1,500 cancer-free women between the ages of 20 and 98. Dr. Lois Boynton of the UNC School of Journalism had cancer. She finished her cancer treatment, and although she can't prevent cancer, she says doctors told her exercise would be good for her recovery.
The doctors say that it's a good thing to do anyway, regardless of, because it's also effective for reducing your incidence of heart disease or stroke or other health issues. So, just generally speaking, it's good behaviors to have. This semester, Koina is in Boynton's class. While one is winning the battle against cancer, the other hopes to never fight the fight. Reporting in Chapel Hill, I'm Safia Mokpai.
You may see people walking around campus with pink ribbons. It has to do with breast cancer. It is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
The last decade has been tough for the newspaper industry across the country, and the decline is hitting home tonight. After 5.5 years, the Carborough Citizen published its final edition last week. Editor-in-Chief Susan Dickinson is a 2005 graduate of UNC's journalism school. She says there are efforts in the community to revive the paper as a nonprofit. Dickinson's father was the publisher of the paper. He says he first presented the idea for the paper years ago to a community journalism class taught by Professor Jacques Lauderer. And if you're looking for a quick bite to eat on Franklin Street, Jack's Sprat is no longer on your list of options. The popular cafe unexpectedly closed this past Monday. For 8 years, Jack's Sprat Cafe has been a place for locals to eat, listen to local musicians, and enjoy a hot cup of coffee. Now, the cafe has closed its doors. What used to be an ideal place for students to study is now in the past, but that won't stay for long. Franklin will welcome a new restaurant called Top This. This roast beef and burger joint is scheduled to open within the next month.
Alex, it's been a little chilly out. I wonder if a warm-up's on the way.
I sure hope so. Your 5-day forecast is up next.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
You're on your way to meet up with friends, but you can't seem to get anywhere quickly. You don't want your friends to be annoyed, so you text, "You're on your way." "5 seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting while driving. Make sure you get where you're going.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Good evening. Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm meteorologist Katie McGee, and thanks for staying with us. Looking ahead, fall definitely snuck up on us this past week with colder temperatures. We'll be taking a look at whether that's expected to return and if it will be as severe as we've experienced, especially this past Monday. Also, we'll be taking a look at what severe weather is expected to occur this weekend and also where in the United States that is most likely to impact. And then in lighter news, we are starting the State Fair tomorrow. We'll be taking a look at the forecast for the next couple of days. Looking ahead at our satellite image currently over North Carolina, we can see relatively clear skies, a few clouds every now and then. However, what we really want to keep our eye on these next couple of hours is this cloud mass up to our northwest. As we pan out to a broader view, we can see still clear skies over North Carolina, and that cloud mass ranges all the way up to our northeast. And that's in association with a cold front, which you can see on our surface map. And as that cold front is expected to push through late this evening, we're going to need to keep our eye on this high pressure system. That's going to keep skies sunny and clear for us. So as that cold pressure moves through and the cold weather it moves in, the clear skies will keep things a little warmer than we have been seeing these past few days. And as that high pressure system moves in, what we really want to keep our eye on is this cold front over to our west. As that moves further down towards the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma, we also have this low pressure system. Low pressure systems are counterclockwise. So that's going to bring up this warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico as opposed to this cold, dry air. And when that meets, that is going to bring us severe weather. So if you know anyone in Texas or Oklahoma or you're planning to travel there, definitely make sure they are aware of the potential for tornadoes and severe weather this weekend. Looking ahead to tonight in Chapel Hill, we can see as that cold front moves through, the clouds will begin to dissipate and we will have crisper temperatures in the low 40s. And then tomorrow during the day, clear skies with the high pressure system at a less humid mid-60s, breaking tomorrow down just a little further so you know what to expect throughout the day. We can see temperatures around 43 at 8 a.m. as we begin to warm up from that overnight low, around the high 50s by noon, and then cooling off to the low 50s around 8 p.m. State Fair this weekend starts up tomorrow. That'll run through October 11th to the 21st. We kick it off tomorrow around 65 degrees, and then as you can see, beautiful skies in the 70s towards the end of the weekend. Looking ahead at our 5-day forecast, again, Thursday, temperatures around 65. We'll be warming up a little tomorrow and continuing through the rest of the weekend as clouds begin to build up, and we also increase a chance of precipitation through the end of the weekend. So as we get into this weekend, we can definitely see temperatures expecting to warm up a bit, but not quite at that 80-degree weather we've been having recently.
Katie, I know it's got to get colder at some point, but I'm glad it's going to be warm, at least for the fair.
Hey, we can enjoy this temperature just a little longer, I'm sure.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Will Gio Bernard be able to run all over Miami like he did against the Hokies?
We'll tell you after the break.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on. I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
Hey, she took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Can you sit with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time.
One book can be the first thing helps to change a life. Book people unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Will Reimer. It's one of UNC's most anticipated events. Carolina will kick off this year's basketball season in just 2 days with Late Night with Roy. The annual event is this Friday at 7:30 p.m. in the Dean Dome. Many students are looking forward to the dancing skits and to the host UNC alum Stuart Scott. You can see him coming up on your screen right there. Last year, he was awarded this honorary jersey. Most of all, that one right there. Most of all, though, people are looking forward to the first glimpse of the team since the Heels lost 4 starters. Harrison Barnes right there making that 3. Kendall Marshall, Tyler Zeller, and John Henson were all selected in the first round of this summer's NBA draft. Friday, we'll get a look at how the Heels plan to make up for all that scoring. And speaking of basketball, I talked with Jones Angel, the voice of the Tar Heels, about what we can expect from this year's team and how Coach Williams can replace Zeller, Henson, Barnes, and Marshall.
To me, the most interesting thing about this team
is that when you think about Carolina basketball, I think you think about point guards and you think about big men. And Carolina's very young in both those areas. So the scoring's going to have to come, at least early in the year, from the wing. And that's a little different from what Carolina has traditionally done.
And all our big talent on the wings, our depth on the wings, is they're three-point shooters. I mean, they can cut to the rim as well, particularly PJ. But how three-point shooting was a weakness last year. How do we improve that?
I think it's been a weakness the last 2 seasons for Carolina. It really been their inconsistency shooting from the outside. And, you know, PJ Hairston, Roy Williams said he was the best three-point shooter he's ever recruited. And obviously he struggled last season. Reggie Bullock's been able to gain a little more consistency in that area, but I don't think he's perform to the level that he's happy with on a game-to-game basis as far as shooting the basketball. Leslie McDonald has proven at times that he can do it. You know, all those guys are going to have to step up and be a little bit better, I think, than they have in the past.
What are the minimum expectations for this team, and then what do you think is the highest that they could go?
You know, I think Roy Williams, my guess would be that he probably feels like this is a team that can make the NCAA tournament and win some games there. And I think that's a level in which Carolina basketball has set for itself, that if the Tar Heels don't go to the NCAA tournament and they don't win a game or two, then they aren't happy with the way the season went.
And against Virginia Tech this past weekend, Giovanni Bernard ran for the most yards of any Tar Heel running backs in a single game since 1988. His 262 yards were the 5th most in school history. Only Derek Finner, Kennard Martin, Amos Lawrence, and Don McCauley ran for more yards. And opening up a lot of running lanes for Bernard is offensive lineman Jonathan Cooper. The senior guard has been named one of the 25 finalists for the 2012 Rotary Lombardi Award, which is given annually to the nation's top lineman or linebacker. 2 other finalists are from the ACC, both from Florida State. And even with Cooper's help, Bernard might not run for 262 yards this weekend, but Saturday's trip to Miami could result in another big day for the Tar Heel running back anyway. The Canes have given up more than 200 rushing yards in 5 of their 6 games this season, including against Bethune-Cookman. Yeah, the Tar Heel ground game is a step above that of the Wildcats. And the Hurricanes have also allowed more than 30 points in all but 1 game, so you should expect to see a lot of touchdowns on Saturday. But it could be a long day for the Tar Heel defense too, particularly the secondary. Miami quarterback Stephen Morris leads the ACC in passing yards with more than 1,800. Right on his heels, though, is our own Bryn Renner in 4th place with 1,616 yards. He's behind Morris, Clemson's Taj Boyd, and NC State's Mike Glennon. And in just a few months, some members of the Carolina football team may be lucky enough to take part in the NFL Combine, but other students on campus did so yesterday. Campus Rec put on the event. Students got to see how they measure up against NFL pros in events modeled after the Pro Combine, events like the bench press to test your strength. The cone drill, which this guy's doing right here, running around this set of cones, it tests your speed and agility. And then everyone's favorite pure speed event, the 40-yard dash. And officials were there to record your times.
Nice. All right. 5-6-0.
And you know what, Alex? I actually got to participate in the bench press. I almost got the bar up one time.
You know what, Will? I think you're just going to have to get some more reps in, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to go do some push-ups right there, right now.
Great. Thanks, Will.
These students appear to be biking in place, but they actually plan to cross the Atlantic.
Find out what that's all about next.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write to Carolina Week, Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week online at carolinaweek.org.
Thank you for calling your GED Pep Talk Center. All right, now are you ready for your GED Pep Talk?
Being nervous is okay. It just shows that you're serious about getting your diploma.
A lot of things are scary. Heck, I'm scared of clowns.
No quiero oír.
Danny, no lo puedo hacer.
DMC, life in your pep talk style.
Just keeping it real, Debs, just keeping it real.
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
It may be a continent away. It may be separated by thousands of miles of ocean. But this week, more than 1,000 UNC students will bike to Uganda.
That's right, Alex, Uganda. The UNC-Chapter of social organization Building Tomorrow is hosting its 3rd annual Bike to Uganda event. From October 8th to the 12th, students and community members will bike 7,433 miles, the distance between Chapel Hill and Kampala, Uganda. They hope to raise $20,000 to build a school in East Africa. Over the past 5 years, Building Tomorrow has raised more than $1.5 million to fund 15 schools in East Africa.
That's really great. Thanks for watching. That does it for us.
Good night.